TCM.
Hi, I'm Ben Mankiewicz. Thanks for joining us on TCM. Tomorrow in movie theaters across the country, arguably the most famous literary character in American history, Superman. That's right, I said it. Takes flight once again in a new film from writer-director James Gunn. The new Superman is David Corenswet. Corenswet has been acting for better than a decade. He was part of the ensemble cast of the excellent HBO series We Own This City, did a couple of Netflix shows, and had a supporting role as the villain in the 2024 summer hit Twisters. But playing Superman and Clark Kent is by far the biggest role the Juilliard-trained actor has ever had on screen. Interestingly, and perhaps not coincidentally, Corenswet's trajectory as an actor is quite similar to the path of another actor who played Superman, Christopher Reeve. We're honoring Reeve tonight with a 3-film lineup of his work. We begin, fittingly, with the movie that made him an international star. From Warner Brothers in 1978, directed by Richard Donner, with a screenplay written by my cousin Tom Mankiewicz, this is Superman. Quick note about that screenplay. It's got its own story. Producers Ilya and Alexander Salkind wanted a big-name writer for their movie, so they hired the Godfather author Mario Puzo. Puzo then turned in a 550-page script to cover 2 movies. The Salkinds then brought in Robert Benton, David Newman, and Leslie Newman for a rewrite. But Donner thought their screenplay was too campy, so he hired Tom Mankiewicz to completely rewrite it. There was some serious haggling with the Writers Guild, but ultimately Tom, who said, as did Donner, that nothing from Puzo's original script stayed, received a creative consultant credit that came after the writers. The Guild was not too pleased with that. Okay, back to Christopher Reeve. His film debut came earlier in 1978 in the submarine disaster film Gray Lady Down, starring Charlton Heston. Prior to that, Reeve worked on stage in New York, most notably opposite Katharine Hepburn in a play called A Matter of Gravity, and on television, including a brief run on a soap opera. When he landed the Superman role, beating out such big names as Burt Reynolds, James Caan, and Sylvester Stallone, Reeve knew that his performance would make or break his career. He weighed 170 pounds, almost nothing on his 6-foot 4-inch frame. He assured the director, Richard Donner, that he could gain weight. I was a real jock before I went into acting, Reeve said. I've lost 50 pounds. I'll put it back on. He poured himself into training for the part, working with David Prowse, a competitive bodybuilder, and more famously, the man inside the Darth Vader costume in the original Star Wars films. Reeve considered his work in Superman as 2 roles, Superman and his alter ego, earnest newspaper reporter Clark Kent. As you'll see, he does a fine job of making them 2 distinct characters. The director of the new Superman, James Gunn, says to understand Superman, you need to understand both Clark and Superman. Neither is the alter ego to the main character. They are both Superman. They are both Clark. Chris Reeve understood that too. Since Reeve was such an unknown to movie audiences, the Salkinds invested in some star power for the other roles, signing Marlon Brando to play Superman's Kryptonian father and Gene Hackman to play his arch nemesis, Lex Luthor. From 1978, also with Margot Kidder as Lois Lane, plus Ned Beatty, Jackie Cooper, and Valerie Perrine, Christopher Reeve leads the way as Superman. With about 75% of Superman 2 already shot, was told to focus solely on the first film. When Superman became a huge hit internationally, the producers had the script for the sequel rewritten, mainly to remove Marlon Brando's character from the story. Brando had gotten into a dispute with the producers over his profit participation on the original, and when that couldn't be worked out, he refused to return for the sequel. Fortunately, Christopher Reeve reprised his role in the 1980 sequel, then went on to star in Superman 3 in 1983 and Superman 4, The Quest for Peace in 1987. All 4 films are currently available to stream on HBO Max, featuring introductions by my fellow TCM host, Eddie Muller. Coming up, the Christopher Reeve movie released between his first 2 stints as Superman. It's a time-traveling romance that paired Reeve with Jane Seymour. Somewhere in Time is next on TCM.
Next on TCM, Somewhere in Time, then Death Trap, and later, The Last of Sheila. Be first in line for more TCM tonight.